Hey everyone! So it is time for the June garden tour. May went by incredibly fast and was definitely the month of the most change so far in the garden. So I basically started May with a bunch of plants that are no longer here because they only really grow in the spring. So I took those out and planted all of the seeds that I started for the plants that are going to be here throughout the rest of the summer and probably pretty far into fall before the weather starts to get chilly again. So let me go show you what my garden looks like at the beginning of June. Let's go ahead and start in the usual place, which is the center raised bed. And I just noticed, I think this is actually my first pollinator sighting, so that is really exciting. So in the corners here, I have my Supertunia Vista bubblegum. I had those here last year in the exact same spot. I did have to pull them, I think around September, because I had way too many budworms. So I'm going to try to keep up on the budworms much better this year so that hopefully these can last throughout the entire season. And then in the center here, I pulled out all of the tulips in May and planted the zinnias here. So there's 3 different varieties of zinnias. I don't think I can name them all off the top of my head right now, but I'll link the video down below of actually planting all of these summer plants in case you didn't see it. But I do know in the front here, they're shorter zinnias, and then the ones here in the center are taller. And they're all different colors of kind of orange, peachy, and pink. So this center bed is going to be a lot of pink, a lot of peach, a lot of orange. And I've actually started to notice, even though I didn't mean to do this, but pink is the main color of flower in my garden. Coming down in the front for these pots, so these 2 had tulips in them and some pansies. I went ahead and transplanted the tulips downstairs and I replaced these with heucheras. These are the variety Dolce Spearmint. I like the silvery color of the leaves. Again, some pink blooms here. This one has a lot more blooms than this one. Hopefully this one catches up. And then on either side, I have my pots with the container delphiniums. So I started the delphiniums from seed last year. They are perennials, so I left them out over winter in the corner of my deck. And you can see they've come back quite nicely. I also have the violas in the pot around the edges. I was going to replace them with, something for summer, but they still look really pretty. So I'm going to keep them here until they no longer look pretty. So that's what's going on in the front of my garden. We'll come around here to the corner because this is something I didn't have last year. Last year, this whole corner was just storage, and now I have my little flower cart from Deer Park Ironworks. I will link that below in case you are interested. I know I got mine online, but on their actual website, but they have them, I think, on like Walmart and Home Depot as well. I actually put together a video that I think will be the next video I publish showing the plants I've selected to put on the cart and decorate it. So I won't go into too much detail since that video is going to come out next. But I did want to show off that the morning glory here is taking over the flower cart just as I'd hoped. So I am excited to see how that goes. First time growing morning glory. A little bit nervous based on feedback I heard from other people, but I'm gonna go for it and see how it does. Coming over here into this corner, I have one of my hydrangeas here. This one is supposed to be blue. It was starting to turn purple, so I added some acidifier and it is now back to its original blue color. So I have that one over here. I have my garbage can and 1 bag of soil just kind of tucked into the corner there. Then I have my table and chairs with a pot of alyssum. I think it looks really sweet and it smells very nice. This is my first time growing alyssum. I didn't know it smelled as good as it does. We'll head into that corner in just a second. But spinning around over here is the herb garden. So I am growing, 3 times as many herbs at least as I did last year. And I do officially have them all hooked up to drip, which is going to be very nice. So I have thyme, pineapple sage, catnip, lemongrass, lemon balm. Down here I have oregano, rosemary, pesto basil, and yes, I did label them so I can remember all of this. Down here I have lavender, and the bottom of the shelf, mint, dill, Back here is parsley, sweet basil. This is the lemon thyme. Then I have another dill, a chocolate mint, and a tricolor sage back there. So I am really happy with my selection of herbs. They're all herbs I really enjoy using. This wooden shelf I had last year. I've actually had it for 4 years. I keep it outside. It is still working great. These two black stands I just got this year, and they've held up to the wind. So I'm overall really in love with my herb setup. Now, in front of the herbs are all of the plants that I don't know what I'm going to do with. And I was thinking of, maybe moving these inside for the video, but no, let's not pretend that I am more organized than I am right now. But basically I have 2 other lavender I was going to put into a pot, and then I use the pot for other things. So I need to figure out where I'm going to put those. I have some other sunflowers that I started, the rest of the zinnias I didn't have space for, and then some more gomphrena, and an extra basil plant. So I need to figure out, am I going to find a place for these, or am I going to give them away to either friends or one of the local schools in the area? So that's what's going on down there. Coming then to this corner, I have my other 2 hydrangeas. This one is supposed to be more purple, but it started to turn almost the same color as this one. So I added some acidifier. I think it is starting to go back to more of a purpley color. So I should have a pink, a purple, and then that blue one over there. This is my first year growing an elephant ear, and I am really excited about that. Once it gets tall enough, it's going to stay in this corner so that I'll kind of have the height with an elephant ear, and then my hydrangeas. Now the reason my hydrangeas are all along this wall is because it gets the most shade, and they cannot handle the amount of direct sun in any other part of my garden, as I've come to figure out. Next here are 2 raspberry plants. So this raspberry used to be over here, but because it was so tall, I kind of swapped the rose plant and the raspberry plant. I like the extra height here, and then right in front of it is actually the raspberry that I propagated from the mother plant. So that one, I think it's already quadrupled in size. I don't think there will be any berries this year on that propagation, but we'll see. Then here I have my lemon tree. I have my dwarf blueberry bush. This one I just planted in the container this spring. Then I have my other blueberry plant, which this one I planted fall of 2020. So it's spent the winter out here 2 years and continues to come back. Here I have 2 strawberry plants in this metal galvanized container, and I've already eaten some strawberries off of it. And then behind it I have the rose that you just saw me recently replant here, or I basically replaced the dead rose tree with the new rose plant. And I think that one works better just with its current height over here, and also breaks up because over here it's mostly all green right now because it's the fruit and veg area. So I think the little bit of pink over here works nicely. This raised bed back here is all gomphrena. I was thinking about potentially putting some other stuff in here to trail down, but I think with the amount that the plants in front kind of cover the bed and the amount of gomphrena that I wanted to grow, it's just going to stay all gomphrena. 4 different varieties, I think carmine, orange, red, what I think is strawberry, and then purple. So those will be the colors in here. This one, for some reason, is much smaller than the others, but that's why I always keep extra in case I need to replace any of these. And it looks like, I think that's my first little gomphrena flower. So that's really exciting here. So now we'll start down this pathway. Start here on the right side. I have rhubarb, aronia berry, another rhubarb. All 3 of these I planted last year. Rhubarb I started from seed. Aronia berry I bought as a small plant, and they all stayed outside over winter up here on the balcony and came back just fine. You can actually see here all of the aronia berries that are developing. They're also called chokeberries, but I guess they wanted a name change to something that was a bit more pleasant. So I'm excited for these. I've never had them on my own before, so I'm excited to see how they taste and if there's anything that I can make with those. What I also did, because I ran out of room, is I put two of my asters in here as well. Should they be in the same pot? Probably not. Did I put them there anyway? Yes, I did. So I think this is a mixed seed pack. I have no idea what color those are going to be, but I'm excited to see how it turns out. Like I mentioned, that's the second rhubarb plant. And then swinging back over here, so this is kind of all my veggie section between a couple grow bags of zinnias. So starting over here, I have, I think they're called like the giant dahlia zinnias in this bag. They're all the same variety here. Center raised bed, I have my two cherry tomatoes. So this is Sun Sugar, which is a yellow fruited tomato plant. This other one is Super Sweet 100. So that's going to be a red cherry tomato. And you can see this one's already basically at the top of the cage. I do need to prune this. I feel like I'm not quite in maintenance mode yet, but I'll show you my plan for pruning these, especially since I planted them much closer together than you should. In front here, just added in some nasturtiums because again, I had them and I needed a place to put them. In front here, I have green beans, I have peppers, and then I have my eggplant, and then two more pots of nasturtiums. I don't know if these are gonna stay here or if I'm gonna move them somewhere else, but they are here for now. And something has been nibbling on my eggplant leaves. Like I said, not quite ready for maintenance mode yet, but I did give it a spray with some of the Captain Jack's dead bug brew, so hopefully that takes care of that. But it is kind of time for me to start remembering I'm not just planting, but I also need to maintain what I've planted. This grow bag here, these are the Bethany giant zinnias, which were in my center bed behind me last year that got over 5 feet tall. So these, the Bethany and the giant dahlia zinnias, are kind of a rainbow mix of bright colors. So I'm excited for those to grow tall, start blooming, and really just add more color into the little veggie patch here. Coming over here in the back, this is where I replaced the grape plant with just some more of the zinnias I had, the shorter zinnias. So by shorter, I mean like 3 to 4 feet instead of 4 to 5 feet. And then there is this bee's friend, which I got in exchange for painting the little seed house that I painted for one of the local schools. And I love this so much. First of all, I just like kind of the crazy whimsical structure of it, but also the blooms are just so pretty. I absolutely love them, and it's something I've never grown before, but I do plan to get my own seeds of it next year. I think it's from Floret, if I'm not mistaken. I do think too that this does not bloom all season, so I might either replace it with something different or just pull it when it's done blooming. Up here in this bed is kind of a mishmash of things. So I planted the straw flowers. So there's 6 straw flowers in here that I started from seed indoors. They've already, sprung up in size since transplanting them into this bed. Then I put 2 more Supertunia Vistas, which these are jazzberry, into the corners to again trail down. I think I did the exact same thing last year. I also have some little carrot sprouts because I forgot that I sowed carrots in here. So I'm gonna let those go and just see what happens. And then I have absolutely no idea when I put this in here. So at some point, I apparently planted a bulb. It seems like a lily. I posted some photos on Instagram and asked, and that seems to be the consensus, but I guess we'll find out soon. So there's one there that is obviously, let's see, I don't know, about 4 or 5 inches tall. And then over here, there's another one sprouting up. Again, absolutely no recollection of planting these bulbs. I remembered planting tulips, don't remember planting anything else, but it's a nice surprise. And in terms of spacing, it probably popped up in the best place that it could have. It almost looks like I planned it, which is the story I'll go with from now on. Swinging around to the back, this is an idea I had kind of in my head for my garden this year that I'm really excited is kind of coming to fruition, and that is that all along this back brick wall I'll have a row of dahlias. So I have 2 here. And then over on this side I have 4. The 2 closest to the bed are the same varieties, and then I have a 3rd variety that I started this year where the other bulb or tuber just didn't sprout at all, so I got rid of that. And then this is the Penhill watermelon that I had last year, and I'll get you a bit closer so you can see it in just a second, but they're all doing very, very well. Here I have the only melon plant I'm growing this year, because even though I liked them last year, they didn't put out enough fruit per plant and they took up so much space that it just wasn't really worth it in my smaller sized garden. But since I love cantaloupe so much, this one I am growing in this grow bag, and then I envision that it'll start to grow and then just kind of swoop around in front of that raised bed. And like I said, I like to have a backup, so that's another one I started where just in case something happens to this, I have this for now. Then I have 3 pots of extra gomphrena here. I think one is light pink, one is purple, and then this is just a random mix. I don't know if I love this grow bag here. I do like the 2 terracotta pots, so I'll see if I move this or if I keep it here. Coming back in this lower raised bed, I have 2 more dahlias on either end here. This is what's considered a decorative dahlia, so it'll get 2 to 3 feet high instead of 4 to 5 feet like the dahlias back here. Then I have more nasturtiums, because again, I needed somewhere to put them. And then a whole row of sunflowers, which I just recently thinned. So these sunflowers are single stalk, and it recommended just, I think, about 4 inches apart, which is how far they are spaced. I did put in some poles from my broken greenhouse last year. They're in all of my dahlias as well, but I actually need to stake those soon, so that as the sunflowers get taller, I can potentially like loop some twine around these 2 just to keep them secure for any of the wind that we get. Then here I have another planter that I don't know where I'm going to put it, but this has morning glory in it as well, that I plan to put 2 of my trellises up. I just don't know where because I'm out of space here. I'm thinking potentially like resting the trellises against this side and having them grow up, but it gets a little bit shady right next to the bed, so I don't know, kind of seeing how that goes. Then over here I have sunflower, 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 sunflower. Again, not super happy about the giant grow bag one. I might move that somewhere else, and I also don't know the permanent place for these, but I know I love sunflowers and I know I want them in my garden, so this is where they're hanging out for now. And then here are my dahlias. Like I said, this is the one that I overwintered in the garage, and then I brought it inside and let it poke through the soil, so it is a bit further than the other ones that I just planted this year. But I mean, overall, they are looking really good. Like I said, I still do need to actually secure them to the poles. I think this one I did already secure, but the rest of them I have to as well. I also need to pinch a couple because I'm going to see how that goes. But yes, I'm just super excited to see how this looks once it starts blooming. And looks like here there are also some flowers that are just about ready. And then sweeping over here, I have the morning glories. So same thing, the white planter box with morning glories. This one I have the trellises in. My original plan was to have one here, hose here, and then the other one here, but there was just not enough space once I actually started to lay everything out. So that is everything that I have growing in my garden. And I don't think there's really much else I'm going to add at this point, mostly because of limited space. But now it's just the fun of watching it all grow, and of course, trying to keep it all alive. So that is how my garden is looking this June. If you want to check out the previous garden tours, I'll link that below. It's also fun if you want to check out how the garden looked June of last year. I'll link that below as well. But thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next video.